Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that the tension is building as Claire tries to take responsibility for the plot to eliminate Jordan. Knowing that confessing will expose her to suspicion and judgment, Claire is determined to step forward, trying to bear the consequences alone. However, the truth is much more complicated. Victoria Newman and Nikki Newman, who thought their plan would remain hidden forever, are finally unable to keep it a secret. They decide to confess to Victor Newman that they were also part of the plot. The confession angers Victor, and he does not hesitate to scold them both for hiding it from him, who prides himself on being the center of all important decisions in the family. The police will have a lot of questions. Victor screams, his cold eyes piercing the two Newman women. The disappointment in his voice cuts through the heavy air like a knife. Victoria and Nikki knew the gravity of the situation, but there was no turning back now. Victor, furious but sober, ordered that security be notified immediately. He also stressed that Jordan's body had to be taken to the morgue before things got any worse. Victor seemed to be trying to control the situation, but he knew full well that this was just the beginning of a never-ending series of troubles. Sharon's fragile comfort, meanwhile, in another corner of town, Sharon Newman was struggling with her own thoughts. Nick Newman had come to her side, trying to ease her fears. He gently held her hand, looking straight into her eyes that were filled with uncertainty. "You'll get through this, Sharon," Nick said sincerely. "I know you're a lot stronger than you think." Although Nick was trying to be a support for Sharon, he couldn't hide his own worries. When Sharon's car was found in the river, Nick thought of the worst-case scenario. He admitted that if Sharon didn't survive this, he really didn't know how he would live on. That made Sharon feel Nick's deep love and care, even though she was facing a harsh reality. Sharon hugged Nick, feeling a rare comfort in the midst of the storms surrounding her. But when Nick left to return to the Newman family's main house, she fell into a feeling of loneliness. Faith Newman, Sharon's daughter, was sleeping peacefully upstairs, but the silence only increased the feeling of emptiness in Sharon's heart. The nightmare called Cameron. While Sharon was still struggling with her chaotic emotions, Cameron appeared. This man, with a gloomy face and a sinister smile, made Sharon shiver at first sight. But what was even more terrifying was that Sharon's body was still under the influence of the PCP doses she had accidentally taken earlier. Her mind was fuzzy, the line between reality and fantasy blurred. "Sharon, do you think you can escape forever?" Cameron said, his tone soft yet threatening. Sharon trembled, guilt weighing heavily on her shoulders as Cameron mentioned Daniel, the man she had trapped in a moment of weakness. "Everything you do will come back to haunt you, Sharon. You can never erase your sins." Cameron's words were like sharp blades stabbing into Sharon's soul. She tried to fight back, but the panic made her feel helpless. Cameron kept pressing closer, constantly evoking the dark memories that Sharon had tried to bury. The intertwining threads of guilt and truth. The stories of Claire, Victoria, Nikki, and Sharon are not just individual pieces, but also a complex web of secrets, guilt, and betrayal. As the light of truth gradually shines, each character is faced with difficult decisions. Can Victor maintain control in the face of these troubles? Can Sharon escape the ghosts of the past and find peace? And is Cameron, who always seems to be present in her worst moments, the nightmare from which Sharon will never wake up? All of these questions will be important knots, leading the audience to the next dramatic developments of The Young and the Restless. In a world of conspiracy and guilt, only one thing is certain: no one can escape the price of truth. Sharon Newman stood before Cameron, her heart filled with uncertainty. Cameron, who had haunted her like a ghost all this time, now appeared with a strangely wise and gentle appearance. There was no longer the menace in his eyes, but instead a calmness that made Sharon feel confused. "Sharon," Cameron said, his voice soft but heavy, "you were under the influence of drugs. What you did was not because of who you were, but because you were led astray. But I am not here to judge. I believe that forgiveness is possible, but it must begin with you forgiving yourself." Cameron's words were like a blow to Sharon. She remembered the wrong decisions, the times she was weak and let herself be drawn into the darkness. She could not deny that the guilt had weighed heavily on her shoulders all this time, but was self-forgiveness really as easy as Cameron said? Cameron, in his mysterious calm, tilted his head slightly to look at Sharon. "This may be our last tango," he said, his tone tinged with nostalgia. "What we've been through, I must admit, it was a wonderful journey." Sharon was silent, her eyes shining with an indescribable sadness. "Yes," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "This journey, it taught me a lot. But it's time for us to say goodbye." Cameron smiled, a strange smile that was both sweet and mysterious. "Goodbye, Sharon." With that, he slowly walked away, disappearing into the night, leaving Sharon standing there with mixed emotions. She didn't know if this was the last time she saw Cameron, but in her heart, part of the story had truly come to an end. Jordan and the twisted truth. While Sharon was dealing with her feelings, Nick Newman had returned to the main house. There, he received shocking news: Jordan was dead. To Nick's bewilderment, Chance Chancellor appeared with a series of questions about Jordan's death. The atmosphere in the house became tense, as all eyes turned to Victor Newman, who had always been in control. Victor, with his usual calm, began to tell the story. He confirmed that Jordan had found Claire and Victoria at the horse shop. According to Victor, Jordan had gone there with the intention of ending their lives, carrying with her an uncontrollable rage. Jordan was backed into a corner, Victor said, his eyes piercingly fixed on Chance. When she realized there was no way out, she took out a vial of poison and drank it. Victor's story seemed plausible, but also contradictory. Nick was silent, observing his father's every word and gesture. He knew Victor was always the one who could turn a situation around in any way, but was this story really true to what had happened? Did Jordan really choose to escape death, or was this just a stage set up to hide something bigger? The truth buried and the questions left unanswered. After Victor finished telling his story, Chance was still not completely convinced. If Jordan really intended to end Claire and Victoria's lives, why did she choose to kill herself instead of completing her plan? Chance asked, his eyes suspicious. Victor, unfazed, answered in an authoritative tone. Because she realized she had nothing left to lose. And because Claire and Victoria acted in time, they forced her to understand that it was over. Chance said nothing more, but it was clear that he still had many questions in his mind. Meanwhile, Nick felt a growing unease in his heart. Though he has always respected Victor, he knows his father was someone who would bend the truth to protect his family. Could this be one of those cases? And if so, at what cost? The complex web of loyalty and guilt throughout these events, Sharon struggles to find peace in her mind. Cameron's words, though terrifying, leave her with a big question. How can she forgive herself? Meanwhile, Victor is trying to protect his family at all costs, even if the truth may be twisted. And Nick, between his loyalty to his father and his desire to find the truth, is caught in a conflicted internal struggle. Can Sharon overcome Cameron's ghost and find herself again? Is the story of Jordan's death truly over, or is it just the opening chapter to more terrifying secrets? And will Nick's loyalty to the Newman family make him an accomplice in a larger tragedy? These questions, along with complex and conflicted characters, will continue to guide viewers through the next dramatic and surprising developments of The Young and the Restless. In the tense atmosphere that permeated the Newman family home, Chance Chancellor continued his investigation into Jordan's death. He questioned Victor Newman directly about the bottle of poison Jordan was believed to have consumed. "Is the bottle still there?" Chance asked, his eyes searching. Victor, without hesitation, confirmed the police confiscated it. Chance, with his instincts as a seasoned detective, was still not entirely convinced. "I need to go to the warehouse to check a little more," he said, not forgetting to glance at Victor to look for any signs of trouble. Victor, always the one in control of any situation, agreed immediately. "I'll go with you," he said, his eyes sharp. Nick Newman, sensing the rising tension, decided to follow along to assist. Victor began to summarize the incident with admirable composure. He said that before Jordan chose to end her life, she had confessed to her partnership with Ian Ward, a name that sent shivers down the spine of the group. Ian, with his dark history and sinister plans, had always been a thorn in the Newman family's side. Jordan also said that Ian killed Heather, Victor continued, his voice adding weight to his words. Chance immediately took note of this information, but in his mind, a series of questions remained unanswered. Ian Ward, a dangerous man, was now linked to Heather's death. Was this really credible, or was it just a way for Jordan to distract everyone before he died? Victor didn't think Ian was far gone. With the confidence of someone who had always been in control, he proposed a bold plan: publicize Jordan's fatal end to lure Ian out of hiding. If Ian knew that Jordan was dead, he would feel out of control. This is the quickest way to force him out, Victor said, his eyes flashing with determination. Chance, however, was immediately against the idea. I don't think this is a good idea, he said, his voice full of seriousness. If Ian realizes we're trying to lure him out, it could make him more unstable. He'll have nothing to lose and could do something very dangerous. While Victor and Chance debated their plan of action, Nick interjected, emphasizing something else he felt was more important. Whatever we decide to do, I want to make sure Mariah Copeland, Tessa, and Aria Porter are safe. Ian is still on the run, and I don't want him getting close to any of them. Nick had good reason to be worried. Ian Ward wasn't just dangerous, he had a history of threatening and hurting people Nick loved. Mariah, Sharon's daughter and one of Ian's former targets, is now happily married to her wife, Tessa, and their young child, Aria. But that peace could be shattered at any moment if Ian decides to take action. Chance nods, understanding Nick's concern. We'll beef up their security, he says, his tone firm. I'll make sure Ian doesn't get a chance to hurt anyone. Risky plan and escalating tension. While Chance seems to disagree with the plan to make Jordan's death public, Victor stands firm. If we don't force Ian to come out, we'll be playing cat and mouse with him forever. I don't intend to let my family live in fear, Victor insists. Chance, though uncomfortably, has to admit that Victor has a point. But he can't help but worry that this might make Ian more reckless. If we do this, we need to be prepared. Any mistake could send things spiraling out of control, Chance warns. Nick, standing between two powerful and determined men, feels the pressure mounting. He knows that any action will have dire consequences. But with Ian Ward still on the loose, doing nothing is not an option. The story of Jordan's death and his connection to Ian Ward is becoming the focus of the investigation. Secrets are gradually being revealed, but at the same time, new dangers are opening up. Can Victor's plan succeed without causing more casualties? Can Chance control the situation and keep everyone safe? And will Ian Ward, who has always been in the shadows, reveal himself, or will he continue to set traps to challenge everyone? In the world of intrigue and betrayal on the young and the restless, every move carries risk, and the price of truth may be higher than anyone could have imagined. Subscribe to YNR for the latest news on our channel.